Hey everyone, welcome back to 30-30-30. Today we're diving into Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance by Angela Duckworth. If you've ever wondered what separates high achievers from the rest of the pack, this book breaks it down in a really simple yet powerful way. Spoiler alert, it's not talent. It's something way more within reach for all of us. Grit. What is grit? At its core, grit is a combination of passion and perseverance. It's about staying committed to your long-term goals and pushing through the inevitable challenges. Duckworth argues that while talent is important, it's not the defining factor in success. More important is how much effort you're willing to put in and how long you can sustain that effort. She even presents a simple formula. Talent times effort equals skill. Skill times effort equals achievement. The key takeaway: effort counts twice. You might be naturally talented at something, but without hard work it won't get you very far. On the flip side, someone with less natural ability but who works tirelessly can surpass a more gifted person. Duckworth's message here is super encouraging because it puts success in our control. The myth of talent. A big theme in the book is debunking the talent myth. We often celebrate prodigies and people who make things look easy. But Duckworth reminds us that behind almost every overnight success is years of hard work. She draws on examples from athletes like Olympians, top musicians, and even West Point cadets, all people we think are just naturally gifted, but who actually worked obsessively to get where they are. In fact, one of the coolest studies she mentions is on West Point cadets. Duckworth created a grit scale to predict who would survive their famously tough beast barracks training. The cadets who ranked high in grit, those with more determination and resilience, were much more likely to succeed, regardless of physical strength or academic scores. Grit, she argues, beats out sheer talent or IQ. Passion, the long game. So how do we develop grit? Duckworth breaks it down into two key parts: passion and perseverance. Let's start with passion. Now, when she talks about passion, Duckworth doesn't mean just having hobbies or fleeting interests. True passion is about having a long-term goal or calling that you can commit to over the long haul. Gritty people are deeply driven by something that aligns with their sense of purpose. What's really refreshing is that Duckworth doesn't say you have to figure out your passion overnight. In fact, she acknowledges that many people discover their passion through trial and error. It's about finding something that sparks your interest and then nurturing that spark into a lasting flame. For many of us, this might be reassuring. The world is always telling us to find our passion, as if it's some magical moment of clarity. But Duckworth is like, hey, it's okay if it takes time. What matters is that you're willing to stick with it once you find it. Duckworth really emphasizes that passion isn't about a sudden burst of inspiration or a single, life-changing moment where everything clicks. Instead, it's more like a slow burn, something that develops over time. In fact, she points out that many high achievers didn't stumble upon their passion in a lightning bolt moment. It was often a series of experiences, experiments, and even failures that eventually led them to their true calling. This is important because it takes the pressure off of finding the one thing right away. Duckworth believes that passion evolves, and it's okay if it starts with a curiosity or a side interest that grows into something bigger. What also stands out in her book is that passion isn't just about loving what you do. It's about staying in love with it over the long term, even when things get boring or tough. Passionate people are able to maintain their enthusiasm because they see the bigger picture. They're not just focused on the short-term rewards or instant gratification. They understand that setbacks are part of the journey and that the excitement might wane at times, but they stick with it because their passion is deeply rooted in their values and their identity. So, Duckworth's advice is not just to follow your passion, but to commit to it. Gritty people aren't chasing after shiny new ideas or jumping from one interest to the next. They're nurturing one path over years, sometimes decades. This long-term focus is what allows them to achieve mastery and make a real impact. And even more encouraging, Duckworth believes that if you stay curious, keep experimenting, and don't give up easily, you'll eventually find that passion that fuels you for the long haul. It's about being in it for the long game. Perseverance, the daily grind. If passion is what gives you direction, perseverance is what keeps you moving toward your goals, especially when the going gets tough. Perseverance, as Duckworth explains, is not just about bouncing back from setbacks. It's about pushing through them with determination. Gritty people don't just survive challenges, they seek them out as opportunities for growth. They approach their goals with a mindset of constant improvement, never settling for good enough. This is where Duckworth introduces the concept of deliberate practice, a critical piece of the perseverance puzzle. Deliberate practice isn't the same as just showing up or putting in time. It's about working intentionally, with a clear focus on getting better at something specific. Gritty people aren't satisfied with simply doing the same thing over and over. They push themselves to get out of their comfort zones, to tackle weaknesses, and to refine their skills. In essence, deliberate practice is mentally exhausting. It requires focus, feedback, and a willingness to be uncomfortable. It's the daily grind of honing your craft, one small improvement at a time. One of the standout examples of perseverance that Duckworth highlights comes from the world of sports, specifically through basketball legend Michael Jordan. Sure, Jordan had raw talent, but what truly set him apart was his relentless work ethic. It wasn't just about putting in hours on the court, he was laser-focused on constantly improving his game. Jordan practiced with precision, reviewing his weaknesses, studying his competition, and always pushing himself to be better than he was the day before. This commitment to deliberate practice made him the greatest, not just because of his natural ability, but because he worked to be the best, even when no one was watching. Another aspect of perseverance that Duckworth emphasizes is the importance of mindset, specifically what she calls optimistic self-talk. Gritty people don't crumble when things go wrong. Instead, they view challenges as temporary and solvable. When faced with failure or setbacks, they don't see it as a reflection of their overall ability. Instead, they ask, "What can I learn from this?" This optimistic outlook is what keeps them moving forward. They believe that with effort, they can improve and overcome obstacles. This self-talk isn't about blind positivity, it's about maintaining a sense of hope and control. Gritty individuals recognize that while they may not always succeed right away, they have the power to keep trying, adjusting, and getting better. It's this mindset that fuels their perseverance, and this approach applies to all areas of life, not just sports or physical challenges. Whether it's learning a new skill, building a business, or navigating personal hardships, gritty people stay focused on long-term growth rather than short-term frustrations. Perseverance, in Duckworth's view, is about making a daily choice to keep going. It's not glamorous, and sometimes it's downright exhausting. But those who have grit understand that enduring through discomfort is part of the journey. They know that progress isn't always visible right away, but that consistent effort, paired with a clear, deliberate plan to improve, will eventually lead to success. In the end, it's this daily grind, the unshakable commitment to getting better, that sets gritty people apart. Parenting for grit. One of the most interesting parts of grit is when Duckworth explores how we can help others develop grit, particularly children. Whether you're a parent, teacher, or coach, fostering a gritty mindset in young people is about more than just encouraging them to achieve. It's about creating an environment where effort is valued as much, if not more, than natural talent. Duckworth stresses that the way we frame challenges and setbacks can significantly influence a child's ability to persevere in the face of difficulty. Instead of praising only outcomes or abilities, she argues that adults should praise the effort, determination, and resilience that go into mastering a skill or overcoming an obstacle. One of Duckworth's most practical strategies for building grit in kids is what she calls the hard thing rule. In her own family, everyone is required to pick a hard thing, something they find challenging but worthwhile, and commit to working on it consistently. It could be learning an instrument, practicing a sport, or mastering an academic subject. The key is that once you pick your hard thing, you can't quit in the middle of it. The goal isn't necessarily to become an expert, but to learn the value of persistence and commitment. However, once you've reached a natural stopping point, like the end of a season or completing a certain level, you can choose whether to continue or switch to something else. For instance, let's say your child decides to learn the violin as their hard thing. At first they might be excited, and progress may come quickly, but eventually they'll hit a point where it gets tough. Maybe when the novelty wears off, or when they're struggling to master a difficult piece. This is the moment where grit comes into play. Instead of letting them quit because it's frustrating, the hard thing rule teaches them to push through the challenge and stick with it, at least until they've completed a certain goal, like a recital or finishing a music level. A powerful real-life example of this might be in the world of competitive sports. Take Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps, who began swimming at the age of 7. While his natural talent was evident, what truly defined his journey was his relentless practice regimen, guided by coaches and parents who instilled a strong work ethic early on. His mum used her own version of the hard thing rule, encouraging him to stick with swimming even when early setbacks made it tempting to quit. Over time, Phelps learned to embrace the process, valuing the effort and discipline it took to reach his goals. His success wasn't built on raw talent alone, but on the daily perseverance and grit that came from consistently pushing through obstacles. What's important here is that the hard thing rule doesn't just build skills in a particular area, it instills a mindset. Kids learn that success isn't about being perfect or getting everything right the first time. Instead, it's about learning to show up, do the work, and keep going even when things get tough. This rule shifts the focus from immediate success to long-term growth, teaching kids that effort, not just outcome, is what leads to true achievement. And it doesn't stop with kids. Duckworth encourages adults to model this behavior as well. When parents, coaches, or teachers take on their own hard things, they show children that everyone, no matter their age, benefits from persistence and resilience. This creates a family or team culture where grit is celebrated, and where setbacks are seen as a natural part of learning, not a reason to give up. In a world that often celebrates instant success and talent, the hard thing rule teaches young people that grit, developing the stamina to keep pushing forward, is what will serve them best in the long run. By focusing on effort and perseverance, parents can help their children build the resilience needed to face life's inevitable challenges with confidence. Purpose and hope. A key element that sustains gritty people is a deep sense of purpose. Duckworth explains that purpose doesn't necessarily mean chasing a grand mission like curing diseases or ending poverty. It's about feeling that your work, whatever it is, contributes to something larger than yourself. For some, this might mean directly helping others, while for others, it could be about mastering a craft or improving the world in a more subtle way. Purpose gives people a reason to persevere, even when the work gets hard, tedious, or discouraging. Gritty individuals are driven by the belief that what they're doing matters, and this sense of meaning gives them an inner resilience. They are less likely to be derailed by temporary setbacks because they see their efforts in the context of a bigger picture. Duckworth emphasizes that purpose often evolves over time. At the start of a journey, a person might be motivated by personal achievement, like becoming an expert in their field or achieving a financial goal. But as their experience deepens, many find that their goals shift towards something more outward-facing, where their work impacts others or makes the world a little better. A great example Duckworth shares is from teachers, nurses, or public servants. They often endure long hours and challenging conditions, not because of personal gain, but because they believe their work serves a higher purpose. They're contributing to the well-being and development of others. It's this sense of purpose that helps them maintain their commitment, even when the immediate rewards might not seem worth the effort. The second crucial ingredient is hope. Gritty people are hopeful in the sense that they believe in their capacity to make things better through their actions. This isn't about blind optimism or ignoring challenges. Rather, it's about believing that setbacks are temporary and that their efforts can eventually lead to success. Gritty people don't feel helpless when things go wrong. They think, how can I solve this? Duckworth argues that this kind of hope is critical because it fuels perseverance. Without hope, the day-to-day grind would feel pointless. But with hope, every setback is seen as part of the journey and every failure as a learning opportunity. Hope also intertwines with the idea of growth mindset, a concept Duckworth references throughout the book. People with grit have a deep belief that they can improve with time and effort. Even if they aren't where they want to be right now, they believe that with persistence, they can get there. This kind of hopeful thinking doesn't guarantee quick success, but it keeps them moving forward, confident that their hard work will eventually pay off. Purpose and hope together create a powerful combination. One fuels the why behind their perseverance, and the other keeps them going, especially when the path forward isn't immediately clear. By anchoring themselves to purpose and maintaining a hopeful outlook, gritty individuals can face the most daunting challenges with a sense of optimism and determination, knowing that each small step is contributing to something meaningful in the long run. It's this combination that allows them to persevere when others might give up. Can you develop grit? The good news is that Duckworth believes grit isn't something you're born with. It can be developed. While some people may naturally be grittier, anyone can build it with time. You don't need to be born with an iron will or extreme discipline. Instead, grit is about showing up day after day, doing the hard work, and keeping your eyes on the long-term goal. Duckworth encourages us to reflect on our own lives. What goals matter most to you? Are you sticking with them or giving up when things get tough? She challenges us to stretch our perseverance muscles and focus on progress, not perfection. So to wrap it up, Angela Duckworth's grit teaches us that success isn't about being born talented. It's about having the passion to care deeply about something and the perseverance to keep going, even when things get tough. Talent may give you a head start, but grit is what keeps you in the race. If you're someone who's felt discouraged or like you're not good enough to pursue something meaningful, this book will make you rethink that mindset. It's empowering to know that we all have the capacity to grow our grit and achieve great things, as long as we're willing to put in the effort and stay committed. That's it for today's summary of grit. I hope it inspired you to push through whatever challenge you're facing, whether it's in your career, personal life, or a hobby. Remember, grit is the secret sauce to long-term success. If you enjoyed this, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more insightful book summaries and discussions. See you in the next video.